Welcome back to Local SEO Tactics. I'm your host, Jesse Dolan, here with a special guest this week, Bob Brennan.
Howdy.
You guys may or may not recognize and remember him from being on the show previously. No, just kidding. Obviously, the last few weeks here I've been flying solo, but Bob is back here. We're going to jump in today, talk about some cool stuff for you guys, and so welcome back.
Thanks,
right?
man.
Your tan looks great. You were sunning in Florida, I'm assuming, right?
No. Phoenix.
Phoenix. Nice. No, but all seriousness aside, this is serious. All kidding aside,
Sure.
Let's get serious. We're going to talk to you today about reviews. One of our topics we revisit every few episodes here, it seems, or every half dozen, because it's super important. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But before we do that, we want to talk again about the new Ask a Question feature that we have on the website, localseotactics.com/questions. Or go down in the footer, bottom left corner. There's a link for you to ask a question. We'd love to hear from you guys. If it's a question you're struggling with, we have kind of two groups of people that listen to the show. One is actual business owners, or local businesses, I should say, that we engage with for direct help on their websites. Then there's some of you out there that are building an agency, so if you're the actual service business or local business, let us know what challenges you're having. If you're trying to build an agency, or maybe you have an agency, you're trying to add SEO and local SEO to your agency offerings, let us know what your customers are asking, right? Kind of things like that. If we use your question on the show, we're going to send you a free t-shirt. You'll see that on the page, localseotactics.com/questions. And we'd love to hear from you and see what pain points you're having. And if you're having a problem with it, if it's a question you need answered, other people do too. So jump on in, be part of the community, and we'll get you on the show. So check that out. And as always, also, if you're looking to do a real quick SEO audit on your website or one of your competitors' websites, kind of reverse engineer it, go on out, localseotactics.com, use our free instant SEO audit. Just takes a minute or two, plug in your information. You're going to get back a pretty sick report for free.
Sure.
It's going to have a punch list of all the good, bad, ugly happening to your website. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from people who do this. It's like, okay, thanks for the information. Now leave me alone for a month while I, go through this checklist. Because if your site's having some problems, it's going to tell you exactly what to focus on. So totally free. Use it as many times as you want. localseotactics.com, top right corner, yellow button, free instant SEO audit. Check it out. So let's get in, talk about reviews. And the thing we want to talk about today is we're calling it review clout, right?
Yeah.
So once you get up to a certain amount of reviews, you got some clout, on how to use it. So before we get into kind of leveraging that and throwing that weight around, we want to just kind of pull back a little bit. If you've listened to all of our episodes, we talk about reviews, right? How to get reviews, the importance of getting reviews, things like that. And we're just going to kind of summarize that real quick, just some of the ways to get reviews and why they're important, and then jump into, how to use that and how to leverage that clout. So first things first, there's really kind of two main methods of getting reviews. One is the in-person, face-to-face.
Right.
That's something we feel is missed in a lot of organizations. A lot of people will just, like we say, back of the receipt or whatever, like, here, fill this out. Later, you get a free cookie or whatever it's going to be. Nobody does that. Everybody throws them away. If you're engaged with a customer face-to-face, being able to get a review right there on the spot, whether that's in your store, if you're retail, or if you're a field service, right? HVAC or whatever, doing it on site, either on an iPad you're toting around or walking over to their computer, and guiding them how to do that. And we've talked about those methods in various episodes, so we're not going to deep dive into those necessarily here. But those are two methods you should definitely be employing. And then the other is more of an automated type deal where you're collecting their phone number or their email address and using a system like our ReviewLead that we talk about to get reviews. You're not going to get as high a percentage like the in-person stuff. Mr. Rogers, you call it. What percentage would you say if you're really aggressive at getting them?
I would say 60-70%. And I don't know if we covered this, but it all comes back to if there's a couple of barriers that either employees or even business owners have in getting reviews. It's really, let's say, the mindset of nobody, again, wants to ask for a compliment. Nobody really wants to ask for a tip.
Sure.
Type of a thing. But if you can, really it all starts with the very first question. If you can get past the barrier of asking for a review, which you need to do if you're gonna advance in business, once you're past that, you simply ask them what I start out with and what we've trained other people to do. And it's amazing. Some of the companies that we've worked with, like once they implement this, to see their review counts just go, and we're going to get into how to exploit this, but once their review counts go into the hundreds, in like 300s and stuff like that, that's a license to kill, man. That's pretty funny. But basically, it starts with this. This is where this is absolutely critical. If nothing else out of this particular podcast, it starts with, hey, I was wondering, do you have a Google account?
Yeah.
A Gmail account. Okay, because it starts with a Gmail account. If you don't have a Gmail account, you're not going to get a review, right?
Right.
At least for the GMB. So ask them if they have a Gmail account. Say, hey, great. When I'm done with this repair, we are in dire need of reviews. If I could trouble you for a review that would really help my company out, everything that goes with it, and then obviously do a great service, do a great job, and then when they come back to pick up their car, or they come back to, or when they're finished with the repair of the HVAC, say, hey, we talked about that review. Could you please, leave us a review at this point, or whatever the deal is, before they even pay? Because even at that point, we're all busy, and we're going to say, well, I'm kind of busy. Can I get going? And it's like, well, really would help me out. You said you would, or whatever.
Right.
But the number one barrier is that Gmail account. And if they don't have that Gmail account, it doesn't matter how slick or smooth you are.
Because we're talking about Google reviews, like Google, not Facebook or Yelp, whatever. That's important too. But
yeah, they're important. Google, but I would say 70-80% of the emphasis I put on is that Gmail.
Absolutely.
The Gmail. And then you'll get the review. So that's one little trick that if you try it and implement it, I guarantee it'll work. If not, leave us a comment and we'll help you through that process.
Yeah, and if you got, speaking of that too, for comments and feedback, again, I'll link to the previous episodes in the show notes for everybody where we dive deep into that stuff. If you've practiced some of this, or if you have some ideas to make it even better, again, going on to our Ask a Question page or whatever, right? Like, leave us that feedback and help everybody else out, because like Bob just said, we've in the real world seen upwards of 60-70% getting reviews, which sounds kind of insane if you're out there trying to get reviews. Using the automated tools like ReviewLead, if you're getting 10-20%, you're doing pretty good.
Right.
But asking somebody and really leading them, in the way that Bob's talking, you're going to get way more reviews, which is important, not just from a closing percentage, but we want to pump those numbers up, right? So you go from a dozen reviews to 50 or even 100 reviews at the end of the month. You notice that, not just in people saying things or kind of the buzz, whatever, but you're at like your rankings, right? You're going to see that people are going to gravitate towards you, even if it's not a direct ranking factor that you've moved up just because your number of reviews. You're going to move up because the more reviews you get, the more clicks you're going to get, the more click-throughs you get, the more relevancy, and that's going to impact your ranking. So super, super, super important.
We've helped a client. Let's say they had 90 reviews and their competitor had 120, and we helped them implement this program. They didn't have enough money for SEO as such. And we said, well, it all starts with this. And, they paid us for our review element, just helping them with their GMV. And within 2 months, they went from 90 reviews to well over like 230, 240. And their business increased 30%. Well, guess what?
Difference.
Now they got money for spending on SEO work. Yep. And, we're taking them to the next level there too. So,
well, and this probably applies a little bit more, my comment here, to those of you kind of in that agency area. It's a lot easier to start talking to somebody too about getting reviews than to get in there and start messing with the website. Just, as a business owner, it's easy to say, go ahead and help me in that area. I don't want you to mess with my website, but you prove yourself there. It's a great door opener.
Yeah. It's a lower spend too.
Yep. And it makes a difference, moves the needle. So with the reviews, that's how we get them. It's very important. And again, listen to some of our previous episodes in the show notes. There's some very, very slick tactics that are proven to get you more reviews. How many reviews should you get? Kind of what's the target? That's the other part of this, to develop this clout that we're going to talk about. First things first, you got to know where you need to be. And when we say where you need to be, we're talking about having more reviews or even double the amount of reviews as your competitors. And that part right there is pretty key. Who are your competitors? We've talked about this again in a previous episode, but just to underline it again, your competitors aren't just the people that you know of. If you've been around in business for 10, 20 years or even a couple years, you kind of know who your competition is. Throw that out the window.
Yep.
Do some Google searching. Even if you use a product like Local Falcon, Local Viking, Bright Local, there's some other ones that show you, and I'll put a link to those in the show notes, if you're not familiar with them, there's some tools out there that can show you what your rank is, like on a map and on a grid, right? So
it's pretty cool stuff.
It's cool stuff. Yeah. If you do some Googling right now for yourself for your keywords to find your business and pop up, that's one thing. But to know 1 mile down the road, 3 miles north, 2 miles south, whatever, how you're showing up, what your footprint is compared to your competition, it's very important to identify your competitors in those areas. There may be somebody that's your digital competitor right now that's showing up for your local search that isn't showing up 5 miles down the road because there's another company that offers that product or service. So we talk about identifying your competitors. We're talking about the digital competitors in the areas that you want to be ranking for. And you can't go crazy. Like if you're a local service business, let's just say auto repair shop, you're not going to rank 90 miles away. We're talking, within 10 miles here or some smaller radiuses than what we would all love. But Google's just making it more and more difficult to kind of reach out into those areas with your single GMB. But it is important to just not play in your own backyard, to expand that out, 5, 10, 15 miles. So make a list or put some notes together of who these competitors are and how many reviews they have, because you want to beat them.
Right.
That's the name of the game.
Right.
So get reviews, understand who your digital competition is so you can trump them for reviews, and then decide your review goal. Like Bob was saying, if you're going to go from 90 to 120, or if you're going to go from 90 to 180, what's that going to take? How many customers are we serving a day? We're saying you can get upwards of 60, 70% of people leaving reviews. Even if you just took like nice, easy math, 50%, how many customers am I serving? How long is it going to take me? And then break that down for your team, right?
Yep.
X per day, X per week, and make sure you're monitoring that because, like I think you have to begin with, it's hard to ask for a review. In practice, it sounds really cool, especially if you're an owner and a manager. Like, yeah, we'll just get more reviews. Getting your team to do this every time and engage with people is another thing entirely. Yeah. So, but get a plan together and get a goal and share that with everybody, and then you can plan. Not plan. You can monitor that progress and share the results with everybody. If you're using something like ReviewLead, it'll give you an email report each day with your number of reviews, and you can share that and make it very visual and easy. Or if you just pull up your GMB, and just look at your score yourself too. You can do it that way. And then last but not least is once you are up on top and have that review clout, now what can you do with it? And you might think, well, the episode's done here, right? We just got more reviews. We're better than, our competition. We're ranking, we're dominant, and we're happy. Now we're going to get in and Bob's going to talk about, now that you've made it there and you've got a crap ton of reviews, what else can you do?
Yeah. And it's really powerful. Hopefully it starts you as a business owner and possibly an agency as you're working with your clients, thinking in terms of, like one of our clients who, we were talking to them and they went from, you'd say in the mid hundreds for reviews in the auto repair industry to in the 300s with really high numbers, 4.7, 4.8. And I think their closest competitor is low hundreds. So as a consumer, again, we see that and we're thinking, well, I'm going to at least call these guys first. Yep. And their business has gone up since then. So they were I needed a key fob. So I talked to them about key fob and said, hey, what's it cost? Because I know the dealer wants like $300 for a key fob. And they're like, well, we've actually got the equipment, we could do it for you for like a third of the price. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no. And so I got on my computer, typed in key fob, replacement or key fob duplication. And a handful of people came up that had really low reviews. Yep. And poor quality reviews. Yep. And I said, hey, I don't know if you want to get in this business or not. And it turns out there's really good margins yep. in key fob replacement. But here's a little something you might want to consider. And so we're in the process of doing just that, where what are the technical aspects? What would we be doing to their GMB to essentially make that happen?
Yeah. So, just kind of distill it down, too. We're talking about you're ranking for something. If you have something that you're not ranking for, in Bob's case, he's talking about there wasn't much competition for this either, right?
No.
Like it was like an easy thing.
It's going to be a no-brainer when we get it completely switched over. So
really that we're talking about GMB and optimizing the GMB. So in this case, if you're auto repair and you're going to add like the key fob, first thing is to do some research on who's showing up for key fobs, right?
Right.
And what GMB categories are they using? We do have a previous episode, again, I'll link to this one in the show notes as well, that talks about how to spy on your competitors and figure out what GMB categories they're using. And that's the first place to start is, if probably locksmith, if I remember correctly, for key fob was one of the things. I think there's another one because we were just looking at it offhand, but basically do that research to find out what GMB categories are people using to get found for whatever the areas you're trying to get into. Cross-checking that, of course, against if it's category you're currently using or not.
Right.
And adding that. And then a lot of the kind of traditional areas that we talk about, within your GMB, you got your description, which at the time of this recording, late February here, 2020, Google has come out in the last week or two saying that, literally giving us tips in SEO, saying if you want to be found for something, mention the city or mention the keywords within your GMB description, which we've kind of all known that it's like a natural, kind of a no-brainer. But Google rarely corroborates that and will say,
right,
hey, do this to be found and help your ranking. So little asterisk there. This is not certified by Google, but effectively it is this thing here. So if you're doing auto repair and you're not mentioning key fobs or key fob replacement, or again, here do your keyword research to find the proper phraseology, but add that to your GMB.
Right.
And then photos and posts, leveraging those other tools that are within the GMB, and putting out the content about the key fobs. In addition to that, off the GMB is your website. If you're whatever page your GMB is linking to, if you're multi-location, it's going to be a location page. If you're single location, it's probably going to be your home page. It should be your home page. Make sure you mention key fob on there. It's, again, if you want to be found for something, you have to mention it. You have to produce content on it.
Yeah.
At the very least, mention the word key fob or a little paragraph about key fob replacement on your homepage, and then maybe link to a page about key fob repair. And not maybe. If you want to be found for it, yeah, you should have a page for
right.
key fob repair. I don't mean to minimize that fact. You should have multiple pages and a little silo about key fob replacement, repair, whatever. But yeah, just to reset, make sure you're putting key fob related stuff in your description for your GMB, leveraging categories, leveraging posts, leveraging photos. And when we say leverage photos of key fob replacement, photos of key fobs, things like that, and labeling them as such, and then putting this kind of content also on your website. And yes, you can use the same photo on your website and your GMB. It's no problem at all. And just kind of bring all that full circle. Again, if you want to be found for a certain keyword or topic and you have no content or description or phraseology for that, you're guaranteed to not be found, right? So just kind of doing those basics. Some people will ask, and maybe if you were going to ask this, I'm sorry, but will that dilute your GMB? The answer is no, unless you are completely radical. Like, we're not talking about taking anything off of your GMB description, right? Or removing one of your categories or deleting half of your homepage to fit key fob stuff on there. You just want to add to it, and as long as you're not totally outrageous with the amount, you're going to be completely fine.
Yeah, and I would throw out in this case, what we don't want to do with this client is get him in the locksmith business.
Right.
Two different things, right? He's not set up for it. He doesn't want to deal with a homeowner that needs, a key for their house.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to cut keys. Key fob duplication's a different animal.
Yes.
So
this is probably actually a bad example now that we're talking through it, because key fob, locksmith, I should say, is one of those industries in the GMB that's pretty controlled.
Yeah.
This holds true everywhere.
It's really scrutinized.
Yeah, yeah.
But what we have to ask ourselves as business owners is, what is it within our core that we're really not optimizing? And if we have a kick butt review GMB type of thing, you can really exploit that.
Yep.
You can really, you need to understand that, you need to take some time, grab a cup of coffee or beer or whatever your pleasure is, and just go through and do some of those searches for those keywords of things or direction you really want to go or niche down on. Yep. And if your competition is weak there, you need to jump on that. And that's the easiest, quickest way to gain new business in that specific niche,
right.
Whatever it is. So if you're in the truck industry and you want to focus more on crane repair within the truck industry, jump on that,
yep.
And get that going and whatever it might be. Again, if you're a contractor, but you want to really exploit, outdoor barbecues, your outdoor kitchens, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Really start focusing on those type of descriptors in GMB, and then how much time are they going to have to put into this, Jess, to go after that niche? I mean, we're talking a couple hours?
Yeah, if we're talking just on the GMB side, I mean, you might have 15 or 20 minutes. Depends on how proficient and comfortable you are with the GMB dashboard. Just to do some of the initial stuff, adding a category, tweaking your description, things like that. If you're throwing out photos and posts once a week,
right.
or a couple days a week photos, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, kind of ongoing,
yep.
Until you want to stop. Now when it comes to your website, that's definitely going to be one of the classic in SEO, like, quote, it depends, because it's going to depend on if you're creating new pages and all these other things or making videos. But just within the realm of the GMB, this is kind of a quick win, especially if you're doing it with the filter like you put on the front side of research this first. If there are not a lot of people showing up for these searches in the GMB, or B, or I should say, or B, if the people showing up have low reviews or low review ratings, here we're trying to leverage. This isn't just, hey, how do I get it in GMB for something that I'm not currently ranking for, right?
Right.
This is saying I've got 300 reviews and I got a 4.8 rating, whatever. I have this review clout. I want to be found for something. Identify a market where your reviews are going to be just undeniable. Like, people have to visit your website /GMB because they're so compelled based on your review score compared to the other competition.
And if you want to dip your toe in the water and you're not sure, like, I want to get into key fobs, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm gonna play in this area. And if I start to get calls, then I'll make more of an investment into key fobs or having somebody do my pages. It is a way to kind of dip your toe in the water. And if it isn't agreeable and isn't what you want to do, well, then obviously you can reverse all this and get back to your normal self on it. But that's
the beauty of digital marketing. Right
there. I mean, it's pretty slick the way you can do it and do that. So if you're an agency owner, you can and you've done well helping your client get these reviews. I think that's all where it starts. You'll be able to move the needle for them. They'll be able to see that needle being moved. And then your next step is, I'll tell you what we should do. Let's talk about the direction you want to go with your business. Are there niches that you want to go after? And that's a tough conversation. We've had it before with clients. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of small businesses that don't really know where they're going, and they're living just like all of us. They're living day to day, trying to figure out how to get by in this world. So it's just you're going to have to force that conversation with them to say, okay, let's talk about your business and the vision you have, and some directions you can go, and maybe some of the tools you already have. And if you're a metal worker, have you thought about going specifically for copper type work? And you know what I mean? And just, you're going to have to be more of a business developer type deal than, you kind of have to be it all, so to speak, in that agency piece.
Right.
But these are the same thoughts and conversations a small business should have, as far as, where am I going? What other areas can I reach out with the core staff and team that I have and the tools that I have to kind of take it to the next level? And GMBs, surprisingly, GMBs and reviews will help you do that. So.
Yeah, and again, here it's review clout. So it's, if you can find these areas like we're talking, put some of this work in for the keywords and phrases that you're not doing right now, getting those number of reviews and continuing to get those reviews.
Yeah.
Can't stress enough how if you've got somebody with 3 reviews, somebody with 12 reviews, and they're mid to low ratings, and you're coming in with 300 and a 4.7. Again, it's all over. Even if you're in the 3rd spot, you don't have to be ranked even number 1.
Right.
You're just going to get those calls. 2 real quick things I would add to this, kind of as cautionary. One is your name of your company, right? If you're, Bob's Radiator Repair, and you're trying to get found for key fob, I wouldn't say that that's impossible, but just think about, I should frame it up like this. If you do this and you start to rank and you're having no results, you're like, what the heck, you guys? I got a lot of reviews. This should be working. Pay attention to your name. It's on your GMB. If it's off-putting or totally,
unrelated
sideways,
to the service you're providing, it's not going to work.
And secondly, be aware of the product or service you're adding if it has that same impact. If it's just totally, people don't draw the conclusion, you're not going to get to leverage these reviews. They just think you're there on accident or by mistake. So if you're going to add something, in this case, auto repair key fob makes sense, right? It's vehicles, it all, is there. But they're not going to open up a bakery in the auto repair shop.
Yeah.
Right. Like that.
It's a reach. It's got to stay within your core.
Good luck.
What
That's just not going to work. Right. So this isn't like a universal magic thing to apply to everything.
Right.
But if it's something that has some kind of, pump on the flywheel effect for your business, then definitely explore this. Again, it's digital marketing. You can try it. You can take it out later if it doesn't work, right? And as long as you're not too egregious on this and radically change your GMB profile, that should have no impact on the other stuff you're doing as well. So,
right.
So that's about it for that topic. Let's get into our 5-star review of the week here. And who do we have this week? This is from Annie LaCroix. And for everybody too, we say it every week, but we'd love to hear from you. If you haven't left us a review, go to localseotactics.com, go down to reviews. You can read all the reviews. If you want to leave us one, we use ReviewLead, the product that we always talk about. If you click on that, it's going to give you everything you need if you want to go to iTunes, Google My Business, Facebook, wherever you want to leave us a review, Stitcher. We'd love to hear from you. And as long as we keep getting these reviews, we're going to keep reading them every week. So Annie goes on here to say, helpful and encouraging. I find SEO a bit overwhelming, but this show helps me wrap around some great ideas and concepts. I know this is a podcast I will return to often for help and answers. Thanks, Annie. We hope to elicit that response from everybody else out there and keep providing value. And we love to hear it. Lets us know we're doing the right thing. So that about does it for this week. Do you have anything else you want to add, Bob? Or
nope. Just keep getting those reviews. If any of this is overwhelming, just feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help you and give you ideas on how to get these reviews.
That's what we do. That's what we do. All right, guys, gals, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.